We're ready. All right, guys, welcome to the Quick Cut. This is awesome. We did 37 of you last time we ran it. There's 45 of us this time, so that's really cool. So you all got your prep sheets, yeah? Great. And you have been working on reducing sugar intake and alcohol intake over the last week. How is that going? Good? Anyone like, I had my last hurrah last night because I knew I'd have to sit here and look at you today? No? Okay. Good. What about sleep? Did you guys get into your schedules, your sleep, your 8 hours? Does anyone have no idea what I'm talking about because they didn't read the whole sheet? No? Okay. So what we want you to do is actually take action in regards to your sleep and schedule your sleep. Meaning on your phone or in your calendar, however you do it, put down when you're going to bed early enough so that by the time you go to sleep, you're able to get 8 hours. You have 8 hours of actual sleep. Really, you should have 9 hours in bed, 30 minutes at least to fall asleep and a 30-minute buffer before you actually have to get up. Does that make sense? So we actually want you to schedule that in your phone. How many of you have iPhones? Raise your hand. Awesome. Your phone has some really cool tools when it comes to your sleep. It can lock you out of your apps. It can fade the background of your phone. It can automatically turn off all of your alerts at a certain time. It can also chime when it's time for you to start your bedtime routine. But check it out. It's in the Health app. And you can isolate within your schedule day to day, even if it's different day to day, when your 9 hours of solid bedtime is, blackout time, okay? So please get that done. That was supposed to be done this week, okay? How many of you actually have that set up on your phone? Okay, cool, yeah. So raise your hands high if you've done that before. So look around, everyone. These are people you can ask about if you don't know how to do it. Okay, we actually want you to take care of your sleep. We want you to take action, not just go, yeah, I'll try to get better sleep. We're looking for a little bit more than that for the challenge, okay? And then, of course, 5 to 6 workouts a week. How many of you actually wrote on your calendar when you're going to be working out 5 to 6 times per week in January? Raise your hand.
What was the question?
How many of you actually scheduled your workouts? 5 to 6 workouts a week for the period of January and put it on your calendar. Yeah? So those of you who train at 5, 6 a.m., it's just like brushing your teeth. That's fine. Those of you who don't need to write it on your schedule. You need to put it on your calendar so that nothing gets in the way. It's an appointment that you have with yourself, that you have with us. So please get that done. Okay? So scheduling your sleep and scheduling your workouts needs to be done today. That was part of the prep leading up to today. Cool? Okay. You want to cover this?
Sure. So for our quick cut, right, we have a couple goals that we want to achieve throughout this time period, right? So number one, and probably why we're all jumping on board, right, is achieve 3 to 6 pounds of fat loss while preserving our muscle mass. The big part there is we do want to preserve muscle mass, right? So as the fat comes off, as long as we're still working out, we're still getting our food, we're eating protein, all of those things, we should be able to, as we have in the past, hang on to that muscle or grow it, right? Ultimately, that's our goal. Another part of this is making sure we are coming up with ways that you can maintain this, and as we talk about here, sustainable nutrition. So yes, we're running this over 4 weeks plus some prep weeks, and we're making big changes, but it doesn't end at 4 weeks, right? Our goal would be that you have problem solved, you figured out what this looks like in your life so that you can maintain that, and find something that's going to long-term support your exercise and muscle mass, but not building body fat. And that's probably one of the biggest parts of this, is learning that for yourself and what that looks like. And then this kind of goes along with that, but an understanding of the effort that it takes to achieve that, right? We, in this period, will be going through, it's 100% in, right? We're trying to make as big of a difference as we can. A lot of times we end up falling into this 80-20, rule, and that's where we kind of find that sustainability. But at this point, we learn what does 100% look like, and oftentimes we end up at that 80-20, right? So these are the goals throughout these next weeks, and as we go throughout the cut.
Does anyone not know what the 80-20 rule is? Okay, so the 80-20 rule is that 80% of the time you're eating meats and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruit, little starch, and no sugar, and intaking levels that support exercise but not body fat. That's the 80%. The 20% is the things that happen outside of that. Birthday parties, New Year's Eve, Christmas, right? The things that we do that aren't about that. Does that make sense? So the 80-20 rule is our philosophy here. The only problem that we run into with the 80-20 rule is that people plan for their 20%. 20% happens. It's part of being an American. It's part of being in this world. It's part of our culture. It's part of our life. That's the 20%. It happens. If you plan your 20%, now you're at 40%. Because you planned for 20, and then the other 20 that just happened because you're here in California, this day and age, happened as well. Now we're at 60-40. 60-40 is not a good plan. We're not going to make it to our goals at 60-40. So what Josh was hitting on here is that we're going into this challenge at 100%, where we do not plan for that 20. But guess what? Over the next 4 weeks, it's still going to happen. You're going to travel. You're going to have family events. You're going to have birthdays. You're going to have all sorts of things that come up and come at you. Some of you will maintain your 100%. Some of you will not. We know that, right? That is all part of the plan. The good news is when you go at it from a mindset of 100%, even when the 20% comes up, you still get results. That's why we teach 80-20. But there's a misunderstanding of what 80-20 really is. So by doing this challenge, you're going to see what the effort actually looks like to sustain an 80-20 nutrition lifestyle. Does that make sense? Cool. All right, so the history. This challenge, the Quick Cut Challenge, has come about as a result of a lot of trial. Lots and lots of challenges that we've run over the years, testing stuff out ourselves. And I'm going to run through that really quick with you. It started back in 2020 when we started doing the 800-gram challenge. The 800-gram challenge is about one thing and one thing only: better health outcomes for you for the rest of your life. Reduced risk of certain cancers, reduced risk of certain cardiovascular disease, actually just cardiovascular disease in general. Better health for you in your future. That's what the 800-gram challenge is about. It is simply this: eating 800 grams of fruits and vegetables every day. That's about 6 cups of fruits and vegetables. We've run this challenge years, for 4 years now. So we've done that. We're pretty good at it now. How many of you have done 800-gram challenges at some point, or lazy macros, which includes it? Yeah, good. Feels great, feels different, can really rearrange how you eat for the rest of your life. We've done that. So then we started running lazy macros, which includes the 800 grams of fruits and vegetables, but also includes a protein target. Because what was happening on the 800-gram challenge is we forgot to eat our protein. And so, yes, we had better health outcomes, yet we were having a hard time maintaining our muscle mass because we weren't getting enough protein, okay? So the lazy macros challenge was just keeping track of one macronutrient, which is protein. Macronutrient means it's a food that we need in large quantities, or it's a nutrient we need in large quantities. Protein is one, carbohydrates is one, and fat is the other. Those are our macronutrients. So lazy macros, we're just tracking one. It's just protein. Cool? So we did that challenge where you get all the fruits and vegetables, and then you're trying to get to a certain amount of protein for your body. How many of you have done lazy macros? Really? That's it? Okay. Good. So that was all well and good. Maintaining our muscle, better health outcomes. However, it was not cutting body fat. It was never intended to. Never was. So we did an experiment. We went, well, what would it take to have better health outcomes, maintain our muscle mass, and cut body fat? And so we went through an experiment and found one thing. You can't eat anything else. Fruits, vegetables, sources of protein. That's it. If you do that, body fat comes off every time. You can eat as much fruits and vegetables as you want, as much protein sources as you want, and body fat just comes off. You don't have to log it. You don't have to track it. You just got to go crazy on the fruits, vegetables, and protein, and what do you know? Less fat. Okay? So that's where the Quick Cut Challenge came from. And that's it. Better health outcomes, maintaining muscle mass, and let's get rid of the fat. Sound good? Cool. Here's basically the breakdown that I just talked about. Fruits, vegetables, sources of protein, everything else out of the picture. You end up in what's called a calorie deficit. Anyone not know what a calorie deficit is? You guys all know?
I don't know.
You don't know? Thank you. Thank you, Dave. Dave, a calorie deficit is where we're comparing how much energy we take in compared to how much energy we use throughout the day. So if you're using more energy throughout your day than you take in, you're in a deficit. It's like driving your car past empty, right? Except your car has reserve tanks called body fat that you can then use up when you run out of gas, okay? So being in a calorie deficit is how we lose body fat. And so by eliminating everything we eat that is without purpose, has no purpose towards better health outcomes, has no purpose towards maintaining our muscle mass, we end up in a calorie deficit, which allows us to drop fat because we start burning that instead. Make sense? Any questions on that? Cool. So this week we are still in prep. You want to cover this part?
Yeah. So this will be your second week of prep, right? First week, get down on your sugars, get down on your alcohol, sleep and exercise, right? Plan ahead. So now the second part of that is we want to make sure we're getting, first off, enough fruits and vegetables, right? 800 grams, like Monique said, is about 6 cups. And so this week, what we want you to do is make sure you're hitting that 800 grams of fruits and vegetables. So in this week, it will mean measuring to see how much you need to get, so you know when we actually go to the full cut part of it, that you're actually getting enough fruits and vegetables. And understanding, so as you measure it throughout the week, understanding how much that actually looks like on your plate as you're filling up your plates here. This is a little example. It shows you, this is what?
600 grams, or 800 grams.
This is 800 grams.
Yeah. So that's 1 day of food.
1 day of food, exactly.
It's not that bad, right? I hope you guys say right, because you're eating lots of fruits and vegetables. I mean, you guys could eat that. It doesn't seem like enough. Yeah, it's not crazy. But you know what? It's not crazy if you plan for it. But if you're not planning for it, you're not getting this. Guaranteed. If you're not actually putting effort into getting this, you're not getting it. Right? If you're not going to the store and buying fruits and vegetables, this is not happening for you. So that's what this week is about.
And so this will be really important when we get to next week, because this is what's going to be keeping you full, keeping you getting enough food as well. So this week, all about understanding what that 800 looks like and making sure you can do that without tracking in the future. Cool. And then the other half of that is our protein, right? So everyone knows what protein is, right? Cool. And so the big thing here is we want to make sure you can understand what enough protein looks like without, in the future, having to measure it. So the other part of it is we're tracking our fruits and vegetables, but we're also tracking our protein this week. Our goal is to get 0.7 grams per pound of body weight. So you have to do a little calculation.
Let's do that math now so they have something to...
Pull out your phones.
Pull your phone out, grab your calculator, put in your body weight, and then multiply it by 0.7. Put in your body weight and then multiply that by 0.7. You should end up with a number that's lower than your body weight. 70% of your body weight. Everyone got that? So that's your minimum protein intake that we're aiming for this week in grams. That's how many grams of protein we want you to eat this week. Every day. Okay. It should be easy. If you've ever worked on your protein, that's actually a pretty low number.
Right.
Yeah, very low, right? That's really low. That's the minimum we want you eating. Now, it might also be your goal weight. It may not be your actual weight. So if you're looking at me like, oh my gosh, that's a whole cow a day, then we probably need to use your goal weight. Okay? So you can also use your goal weight to calculate your protein.
We do want your protein spread throughout your day, right? Don't go eating 140 grams at bedtime, right? Make sure you split it up there.
We have a question. Sorry.
Yes.
So Monique said minimum, right? Is there a cap? Okay, just making sure. You're welcome.
Great question.
Yes.
Dave, Sonia, Dave. So guys, we're not in the cut yet. First of all, we're not in the cut. So the only thing you're doing this week is making sure you get enough fruit and vegetables and protein. We're not eliminating anything out of your diet yet. There will be some natural elimination because you're going to be full of this stuff. But there's no elimination this week. We're still reducing sugars and alcohols. Starting next Saturday, we'll be on a full cut of all sugar, alcohol, all grains, all the other things, okay? We're preparing your body to just like drop fat like nobody's business in the next 3 weeks. Make sense?
Are you allowing oats
This week? Yes. Next week? No.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we can go ahead and have like the Chobani, I think that.
You can have anything you want this week.
Even if it has sugar in it?
Well, we are trying to reduce your sugar intake. So that would be relative to your other sugar intake as well. And you can get 0 sugar.
Okay,
Yeah, you can get whole yogurt that's not sweetened.
right, Greek yogurt.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
So you want to cover that?
What part?
That these are examples of 100.
Yeah. So these are examples of our 100 grams, right? So this way here. 2 boiled eggs, right? 10 to 12 grams. You add that to your 6 ounces of chicken breast. Little cheat for the chicken breast or meat. Deck of cards, palm of your hands is 4 ounces, right? So we can use that to estimate. And then your scoop of protein shake, 20 to 25 grams. Fish, once again, another 6 ounces. But these are all examples, right? So we have basically all your meats. We have a little mix here. And then over there is all your vegetarian, vegan options. But anything with protein will fit this category, right?
So you're going to have to do,
Protein bars that are good during the cut or no?
well, that's different. Those
talk
are
about
2
that
different
next week.
questions. Good protein bars and then good for the cut. 2 different questions. This week, there's no elimination. Okay. You're just reducing sugars and alcohol. What was I going to say? Oh,
Tracking.
yeah. You guys have to keep track. For the next 7 days, you're going to have to keep track of how much fruits and vegetables you're eating and how much protein. Sorry. How many of you have a scale at home to put your food on, not your body?
The food scale,
Okay.
yes.
Cool. Yeah. You guys should have a food scale. If you don't, they cost like $12. You can get them maybe
have
even
them over
cheaper.
there, right?
They're gone. They're all sold.
Okay.
They're so cheap on Amazon. $12. They'll be at your door tonight, right? Stop at Target, grab one. You guys should have a food scale. It actually eliminates all the guesswork. You'll spend 7 minutes trying to figure out how much that is, where you could spend 20 seconds throwing it on a scale. Make sense? Okay. Yeah, so we're in prep week 2. This just sort of sums it up. Okay, this is your last prep week before we go into our cut. 800 grams of fruits and vegetables, 0.7 grams of protein per pound of body weight or goal body weight, 8 hours of sleep. I'm serious. Okay. 5 to 6 workouts this week. That means every single day. We're going into benchmark week, so easy peasy, right? And then continue your reduction of alcohol and sugar. Any questions?
The other thing, I know we told you we weren't going to track. This is the only week you have to track, right? After that, we're getting rid of tracking and all that. So.
And you can use a
Just
notebook.
working. Yeah.
You don't have to use MyFitnessPal. You just got to make sure you're getting enough. It's teaching you to get enough, so when we go into the cut and we're not tracking, you know what enough actually looks like. That was one of the things that we ran into. There was a couple people that did lose some muscle mass in our last cut, and we don't want that to happen for any of you. But it was because they weren't getting enough, period. They weren't getting enough. So this is our resolution to that problem. Cool. Any questions? Yes. There's no cuts right now. You can have whatever you want.
We'll go. So next week's is all about what we're.
We'll talk
cutting
about
out.
it next week.
Okay.
When we start the quick cut, you guys will be very clear on what's okay
Yes.
and what's not okay. Very clear, but it's not this week. This week is getting lots of fruits, vegetables, and protein. That's all we want you focused on. Cool? We do not want you to start your cut this week. I don't know how else to make that more clear. We do not want you to start the cut this week. We want you to start next week. Okay? This week has a focus to help make that cut super successful. Yeah? Okay. Great, guys. Any other questions? All right. Oh my gosh, we did that in 20 minutes. If you did not get a scan today, look me in the eyeballs, get a scan. Do not leave this building without getting a scan today, please. We need accurate data. So we are still figuring this all out, right? You guys are group number 3 to go through this. We need accurate data. We need you scanning every Saturday or Friday, okay? Every single week, even if you have to just stop in here really quick, including the final week on February 1st. Your scans are completely free today, okay? If you need to get on a scan plan, just write your name down and check off scan plans so they're cheap for you. But your scans today are totally free, but you need to have a scan. Yes? Okay, thank you. All right, guys, we'll see you down there for the workout.